Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the 49ers Roster Countdown Series. Players ranked 90 all the way to 1 on their most importance to the 2022 season. And here we are, getting close to the midway point. We're at number 55. We've got Jeff Wilson Jr., running back, entering his 5th season and has had quite the Kyle Shanahan running back career. Undrafted free agent. Shanahan kind of fell in love with him, kept him around, and now he is the veteran, the longest standing running back in this running back room. And he's getting a lot more attention from the coaching staff. You know, they put him up in the press conference, one of the key speakers for all of the OTAs and mini camps, and man, he's entertaining. Great kid, Texas kid. Let's dive into that. Now, he's wearing jersey number 22. He's changed jersey numbers a few times. I think it was 30 for a while. Finally got 22. He's a bigger back. 6 foot, 213 pounds. Does not fit the traditional Kyle Shanahan running back slasher speed guy. That's not what he is. This dude is tough and has been used almost as a lead blocker slash fullback towards the end of the 2020 season. So he's 26 years old, as I said, entering into his 5th season. Now, he's a Texas boy. He's Texas boy. Grew up Elkhart High School, just outside of Palestine. Which, if you're not familiar with that, it's basically southeast of Dallas. Palestine's very famous because that's where Adrian Peterson played. And, Jeff Wilson and his dad, Elkhart's just literally like 10 miles down the road. So he grew up going to the games with his dad to watch Adrian Peterson play. And I think that had an impact on his style and all those things. The Fighting Elks of Elkhart. Now, he was a kinesiology major. It didn't land, big recruiting status. He was a 2-star recruit. And he ended up going to North Texas, okay? Now, before we jump into that, let's do a little bit more background information. His dad... His dad was a big-time football player as well and played running back, same position, at the University of Texas Arlington, UTA. And so his dad, a very impactful role in his entire upbringing. His father sings gospel and taught Jeff Wilson Jr. how to play drums since he was age 2. So very active in the church, things like that. And again, talked about how his dad would take him to go see Adrian Peterson and all those things, and kind of has tried to emulate his play style. The play style fits. Very physical, strong, muscled up back. That's kind of who he is. He was an AP class 2A. Again, so 2A, if you're not familiar with the classifications for high school, it's a smaller school. It's a small town country type atmosphere, but he was first team all-state. He had 2,700 rush yards and 36 touchdowns. He's been a touchdown magnet his entire career. Got all-state 2 years in a row at high school for a combined 5,000 yards, 60 touchdowns. Was part of the leadership council as a senior in college as well. And in his time in North Texas, got to give a shout out to one of my boys, Bowdry, man. One of my former players that I coached was his roommate for a short time at University of North Texas. And when he was at North Texas, he just kept doing the same thing, touchdowns. 3rd all-time, 32 career touchdowns in college, 4th all-time in yards at UNT, 3,200 yards. And he is the oldest person in the room of running backs, which is saying a lot because he's only 26. It just kind of shows you how young the running back rooms are in the NFL, where 26 years old is the oldest out of 6 running backs. I think there's 7 if you include all the undrafted free agents. Now, one-cut type runner, just a touchdown machine. That's kind of who he's been, but was phased out into the last year and basically used as a glorified running back. We'll get into that. One of the downsides of his career is fumbles. He does have 6 fumbles lost, which does hurt. Let's be really, really honest. That's not a positive. 40-yard dash, he ran a 4.57, so again, not that speed burner guy. 3-cone, 7.2, not a shifty, slasher. That's not really what he is. Stick his foot in the ground, tough yards, chain mover, first downs, touchdowns. That's what he is, but has provided some extra, especially early in his career, some extra value in the passing game. 35-inch vertical, which is really, really good. And, man, he's had a couple of big, gigantic games. In 2020, He was the FedEx Ground Player of the Week. That was against the Patriots. He had 17 carries for 112 yards and 3 touchdowns. And that, probably not even his best game. You go to 2021, just literally when everybody was hurt, against the Falcons, he had 21 carries for 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, I do believe the best moment of his career, you got to go back to that 2019 Super Bowl run. The 49ers were losing against the Cardinals, and he got one play. He got one play in the game, and it was a walk-off touchdown reception against the Cardinals in 2019. He ran the Texas route where basically he lines up next to Jimmy Garoppolo, goes out, and then cuts back in. And it was against Chandler Jones, walk-off touchdown, basically one of the best plays of the entire season. Imagine going in on your very first play of the game and get a walk-off touchdown, which is really saying a lot. Now, he's been on and off with the 49ers. Let's just be very, very real. Signed in 2018, waived. Signed to the practice squad in September, then brought up to the active roster, then waived. Signed to the practice squad, active roster, then brought back on a 1-year deal, and has been with the 49ers since. He's appeared in 37 games, 9 starts. So he's a break glass in case of emergency running back, which is interesting because he took all of the first-team reps in camp. Elijah Mitchell, recovering from a couple minor surgeries and issues that he was doing. I don't want to say minor surgeries. All surgeries are major. But nothing that's supposed to keep him out long, just cleaned up procedures. So with him out, he was getting first-team reps, ahead of Hasty, ahead of Trey Sermon, ahead of TDP, ahead of Mason, everybody. He got the first-team reps. And the fact that, again, this coaching staff likes to send messages with who they send to the mic, and he's been the guy they're calling on. Leader in that room, that position group, which is interesting. Now, if we look back at the end of the 2021 season, he got 0 carries in the last 4 games, and that was, week 17, week 18 against the Rams, then you got the 2 playoff games, and he was a scratch for the NFC Championship. So how do you wrestle with all the first team reps in camp to a healthy scratch in the NFC Championship? Now, if he did have any ailments or something that was not made public, I apologize. I don't want to put that out there. The information that has come out was no injury designation. So, man, what does that mean? Now, I will say this. During those last 4 games, or 5 if you include the game he didn't even get a suit up in, he didn't get any carries, but he was still being used. He got 21 snaps spread out through those games as basically a glorified fullback, blocking back, pass protector, and also got 52 snaps in special teams throughout the year. So he can be used. They trust him, if for nothing else than just blocking, and he's got the body for it. So what do we expect in 2022? Well, I think he's going to be the running back 3 or 4, and I think either he or Hasty will not make this roster. I think those are the 2 guys that are competing for that last roster spot in the running back room. Elijah Mitchell, 100% safe. TDP, 3rd-round pick, he's safe. Trey Sermon, I believe, is safe. And then I think you've got, Hasty, Mason, or Jeff Wilson going to be that last guy that makes it. Now, do you cut Jeff Wilson? He's getting the number 1 reps in camp? I don't think so. Especially early, because Kyle Shanahan just loves so much that veteran presence in all position groups. But this is one of those things, running back gets injured a lot for the 49ers, sadly. Remember, Kyle Shanahan's first game for the 49ers, the starting running back was Alfred Morris. And not even Alfred Morris, the ghost of Alfred Morris, because everybody got hurt. So it's one of those things that's probably going to play itself out during preseason, training camp, all that thing. So you just kind of got to wait and see. It's hard to pick and say, all right, this guy is it, and this guy isn't right now, because it just seems to always kind of fix itself, which is sad, but it's the nature of the beast in the NFL. So most likely he's going to make the 53, but I strongly do not see him getting any carries unless 1 to 2 injuries take place. But that doesn't mean he's not impactful. And that's why we have him at number 55 and ahead of a lot of other running backs, is because if he's on the team, he's going to get a chance. And we've seen where he gets called up and Shanahan basically says, okay, here's 15-plus carries where he can still produce. I don't think he's the ideal running back for Kyle Shanahan and his offense, but they trust him. He's been around. He's a locker room guy, hell of a man, and entertaining as hell behind the mic. Love this guy, Jeff Wilson. Very easy to root for, and he's going to be playing an impact at some point for the 49ers in 2022, even if he doesn't make the initial roster. I doubt he would be picked up by somebody else, but it is a possibility. We're going to see number 22 get some carries at some point in this season just because of attrition. So that is Jeff Wilson. I want to say thank you to Anthony and Josh, producers of this entire series, and we're just going to keep counting them down.